Hey guys, it's Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, and we're just taking a quick look here at the Alberta popular vote projection. Looks like recently we've seen a bit of changes in Alberta where the Alberta NDP have climbed up to, looks like about almost a 3-point lead here, ahead of the United Conservative Party, who is currently in power with Jason Kenney. And I guess there's a couple ways we could explain this mostly. Well, first of all, there's no election in Alberta until 2023. I wouldn't take too much stock in this kind of polling. Usually this kind of stuff happens, I find, when there's a majority mandate for a government and about 1 or 2 years in, people are generally unsatisfied. You'll find that the support of the opposition will come up. And it looks like here they've been pretty close for a while during COVID, and it looks like only recently the NDP have taken a bit of a lead here. Not from Alberta, so I'm not sure how to interpret this, but I believe you can also see here there's a bit of a rise in, this is the Alberta Independence Party, or the Western Independence Party, something like that. Anywho, they're averaging about 8% in this poll. The point is that we don't expect any other parties to win seats, it looks like here. It looks like Alberta is remaining kind of a two-party system for now. The interesting thing being that the NDP have come up a lot higher than they were previously. I would say if we go back even like a year ago or so, it looks like there's a bit of a bump here, but clearly Conservatives have well and truly been in control for a while. The difference is shown in the regional distribution, I think, because we have Edmonton is always a strong, very strong spot for the NDP, and once again, here they are with 62% of the vote, which basically means they're going to dominate the whole city. This is the one that you got to focus on, is Calgary. The NDP have pulled ahead in Calgary, and I believe this is what's pulling most of this 42% out, is Calgary's a very rich place for ridings. We can go look at, this is the last election map here. And so this is when the Conservatives, they dominated 55% of the vote. We go into Calgary. Calgary here is basically all blue except for a couple orange. Edmonton, very still deeply orange, despite the fact this is a big win for the Conservatives. Barely any other NDP vote. Maybe, Lethbridge barely swung there. But let's take a look at 2015. It's a totally different story. Edmonton, you have even more domination of the area by the NDP. Calgary as well, and I believe this is your difference maker here, is how the NDP were able to break into Calgary in a lot of places here. Now, this election has its own explanations because the 2015 election was quite a unique one. This was the first time in over 40 years that the Conservative Party lost an election in Alberta. And you could say that people were tired of the party, but also the truth is that there's a significant amount of vote splitting going on here that led to this result. Because in Canada we use first past the post, which leads to a lot of rather warped results like this, and also results that are highly regional in terms of the distribution and the vote efficiency. So we look at, first of all, let's take a look at these two parties, Wildrose and Progressive Conservative. They're both basically right-wing parties. During the 2015 election, they very much split the vote in terms of popular support. But the Wildrose, they got 21 seats out of this, and the Conservatives only got 9, despite the fact the Conservatives had a bigger percentage of the popular vote. This is because the Wildrose support is overwhelmingly in rural Alberta, so you see all of this green on the screen here. That's because Wildrose is taking these big rural ridings. Usually they go to the Conservatives, but you see here the Conservatives are basically shut out of all of rural Alberta. Northern Alberta as well here, you can see in the corner here. All these settled places have gone NDP. In the corner down here, Calgary, this is the big difference maker. You see there's still some Conservatives made it through here, but very slightly the NDP taking all of these ridings, and that's really what gave them landslide level of control here. And so what we're anticipating is that if the polling data now says that the NDP is leading in Calgary, then we can see a situation here where they take these seats, and this will make the difference between majority and minority, regardless of whether Wildrose and PC are the same party or not. And I think there's proof of this just because if we look at the popular vote here, 2015, go back, so this is the election where the NDP won. They have 600,000 votes, whereas the other two Conservatives here, if we add their votes together, it's roughly about 700,000 votes. So, this is it's a very impressive run for the NDP. And, these votes together, though, would outpace the NDP. If we go to 2019, though, and we see here that the NDP vote hasn't really changed. There's actually slightly more people who voted NDP in this election than the one 4 years ago. And very much the reason they won here is because the two right-wing parties are now united into one party, and they went through this kind of dominance here. So, next election is at least 2 years from now. So let's not look too much into this. But what I would say, though, is Calgary, Edmonton, two main places. NDP look like they're going to be able to get some more seats out of Calgary, which will make things interesting. And the other thing that tickles my interest, I guess, is the Independence Party. In Alberta, this is the separatist movement that kind of wants to establish an independent Alberta or an independent Saskatchewan in Alberta, depending on who you ask. This kind of independence party, I could say I don't see it right now, but it's potential that, like Wild Rose did before, they could play maybe a spoiler role. We see in Calgary and Edmonton, the support's lower, but in the rural areas, it's definitely a bit higher. Double digits here. If it goes up any higher, I don't see them have a chance of winning, right? But if their vote goes higher, that only eats into this conservative support, right? So it might turn out very much like the 2015 election if things get worse economically in Alberta, if national unity continues to slip like we saw them discussing in the 2019 election, and the Independence Party gets a boost, then we might see the United Conservative Party lose out to that and the NDP gain. And, it's going to be exciting to follow Alberta. Not from Alberta, but, I'm going to keep doing my research and keep bringing things as I see them. So thank you for listening.